Wani, you're going to be handling the admissions from the room.
Got it.
Okay. Okay. One more minute. Wow.
While we're waiting, show of hands, who has seen a Marvel movie? Who's seen a Marvel movie? I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like about half of the audience has seen a Marvel movie. We love them over here. They're good for kids. So if you haven't already, go get yourself Guardians of the Galaxy or Captain America, one of them. They're wonderful.
Okay.
You'll never guess what my favorite is.
All right, that said, thank you all the kids here and the students of Nu'uanu and families of Nu'uanu. We are so happy to see you and joining us in our Learn to Draw a Superhero with Marvel illustrator David Nakayama. Are you all so excited to be back at school and having fun at school so far? Yay, thumbs up, awesome. Just a little bit of logistics. You guys should all be used to this by now. We're going to keep you on mute unless David does tell us he wants somebody unmuted. If you have any problems with any hearing or anything, Wani, are you able to get the chat or anything going? If you'd be able to see that, if somebody has any issues. Okay. So just chat or wave your hands. Maybe you can just go like this if you know you're having some issues. But we should all be okay. We've tested it out. So we do have a special guest this evening, David Nakayama. I'm just going to go over his background a bit. He is an illustrator, a concept artist, and art director. He's best known for his Marvel Comics cover art, Spiderman, X-Men, Deadpool, but also freelances for Hasbro, DC, WB, Capcorn, Valiant, Fantasy Flight Games, Upper Deck, Zenescope, and many others. He's also a Nu'uanu parent. His children are Alyssa and former student Logan, and his wife Trisha is also one of our Icone board members. So check out his, sorry? Okay, so one more thing, check out all of his great work on his website, davidnakayama.com. But without further ado, please give a round of applause to David. I'm handing it over to you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming out. We did something like this in Mrs. Lowe's class last year. We drew Spider-Man. I thought maybe we could do that as a warm-up today. And if we've got more time, we can kind of talk about how you create your own superhero as well. So we'll see what we can get to. But real quick, the kind of stuff I do is superhero art. Like this is a X-Men cover that I did for Marvel. And another client I have is Hasbro. They make toys like this. And I do art on the side for products like this. So I always tell people who want to learn how to draw, anybody can learn how to draw. It's just practice. That's the only difference between someone who's really good at drawing and someone who's just starting out. So whatever you want to do, you know, music, art, anything like that, it's just practice. So first thing I thought we'd do is, who likes Spider-Man? Does anyone like Spider-Man? I hope you do. That's another great movie to see if you haven't already. I thought, you know, one thing we can do to start off with to kind of break the ice is learn to draw Spider-Man's face. You can impress all your friends with it. So the first thing you do is you draw a big oval. That's going to be his head. All right. All the steps are going to be real simple. Everyone's going to be able to make a great Spider-Man head. Okay. After you've got your oval, the next thing you need to do are draw his eyes. And every artist does the eyes completely differently. They can be round, they can be pointed, but the way I'm going to do it today is I'm going to put kind of I'm going to make this shape, which is round on one side and flat on the other. And it's going to go right here. So imagine a V right here. It's round here. And straight on the other side. So you can do it however you want. Every artist does this differently. I'm gonna make mine a little bit bigger here. Spider-Man has a bug theme, so these nice big eyes tend to look good. I don't love it when they're little eyes like that. That doesn't really look like Spider-Man to me, but big and round is okay. Some artists draw it like that. That's just fine. Some artists like the little triangle ones. That's fine too. However you like it. Okay. Then the next thing you need to know about drawing Spider-Man is how to draw a spider web. What's really cool about his mask is he has a spider web right there on his face. So let's quick, before we do it on him, let's learn how to draw a spider web. So the first thing is you put a dot. That's the center of the spider web. Then you just draw lines sort of equally spaced, coming out from the dot in every single direction. So what you don't want to do is draw a bunch of lines really close together or really far apart. You want them sort of equally spaced, coming out from that center. This will come in handy for Halloween too, I guess. All right. Then you kind of imagine circles that get bigger and bigger. So imagine there's a little circle right here, a slightly bigger circle here. I'm going to shift to red because my pen is dying already. Can you believe it? Okay. Bigger, bigger, bigger. So you can do circles. It looks like a web. It works just fine. Extra credit if you want to actually make them look like individual spider webs arcing between those lines. So does that make sense? We started with a dot. We draw lines going out, and then circles that get bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so if any of you guys are done learning how to draw a spider web, we're going to put it right on Spider-Man's face. The center dot is right between the eyes. Whatever size eyes or style of eyes that you came up with, you just start it right here. Some people like to draw a little circle to start with. And then draw a line straight up. Hope you can see that. On the bottom, most artists don't draw the line straight down. They kind of draw two lines like this. Okay, then whatever space you have here, try to keep repeating that. Around and around and around. And it'll go sort of behind the eyes that you already drew. The eyes are sort of supposed to be like glass lenses that sit on top of the fabric that has the web pattern on it. Okay, so we're going to keep going around. Okay, then you can start putting on those circles. There's a thing in drawing called drawing through, which means even if there's something in front of it, you have to imagine that something is going through. Imagine it going behind those lenses. All right, so that's pretty much all you need to have Spider-Man. You must have those things. Extra credit if you want to make these things less of a circle and more of a bendy web. And extra credit if you put a big, heavy black around this eye. He has sort of a lens that goes around, or I'm sorry, there's a black border. It's usually drawn black in the comics that goes around the lens. Just a little bit thicker, in other words. So if you're done already with your webs, you can add this detail to make it look even better. And I'm sorry, I'm drawing upside down and on my side, so if my Spider-Man looks a little bit wiggly compared to yours, that's why. All right, so if you guys have got this far, if you've got your webs and your lenses and your big, large black borders around the lenses all done, the next fun thing, just to finish it off, is Spider-Man has this superpower called his spider sense. So when he's in danger, it kind of gives him this shocking feeling. And in the comics, they draw that in all kinds of different ways, but often it's just little wiggly lines that come out of his head like that. Oh no, Dr. Octopus is attacking me. I'd better run for cover. So some artists do little squiggles, some artists do straight lines, but however you want to do that, it really helps sell it being Spider-Man. I wish I could see what you guys were all drawing. Let's see if I can get to a gallery view here. Hey, Logan, can you put the gallery view on for me? I don't know how to do that. Perfect. Okay, now I can see everyone. I would love to see how it's turning out. If anybody's done and ready to share it, hold it right next to your screen so I can see it, or your camera rather. Oh, wow, there's a really good one popping up already. Wonderful. So good. Yeah, it's if you go look at all the different artists who have drawn Spider-Man over the years, it is completely different, one to the next. So there's really no wrong way to do it as long as you keep that web pattern in the middle of his face and big eye. Who needs more time drawing Spider-Man? Okay. Hosts, what do you think we should do? Should we move on to the topic?
Can you hear me, David?
Mhm.
Okay, well, I think we can. I would also like to ask if we would like to take a picture too at this time of everybody in the gallery view. And so if you don't want to be in the photos, certainly can step away from your camera, but it would be nice. This will be posted on our website and some of our social media. So at this time, if we can take a quick break, our president, Moani, is going to take a screenshot of all the lovely faces with David. And so just let us know when you're ready to take that shot. We'll give about a second or two for people to dig out of the photo if they don't want to be in there. All right, so let us know, Moani.
Ready? One, big
Hold
smile.
your drawings.
1, 2, 3. Nice. I love it.
Okay. Very nice. Does anybody need more time for Spider-Man before we move on to the next phase if you're interested? Who's interested in drawing their own or learning how to draw their own superhero? That should be cool, right?
Yes.
I know there's some girl power out there who want to draw some girl superheroes as well. I know I want to see. Who's interested in some girl power superheroes? Yay! Okay, so it looks like we have some that are interested in staying on, so we have enough time. And feel free to raise your hand and ask questions about this. I think this will take a little bit longer, right, David, just because it's different. Okay, great.
There are a lot of things to think about if you're making up your own superhero. So we've already learned how to draw Spider-Man. That's somebody else's idea. But a lot of superheroes, they kind of combine an idea or an animal or some other noun with man or woman or boy or girl. So Spider-Man, Superman, Wonder Woman, a lot of superhero names sound like that. So when you're creating your superhero, you just got to think of some cool thing that you like and then attach man, woman, girl, boy to that name. So it could be lightning, or it could be seahorse, or anything at all. The most important thing you have to do when you create your superhero is, what is the idea? So the first thing you got to do is think real hard. What would be the coolest superhero I can come up with? Just the idea of it. Is it a rainbow? Is it a race car? Is it a rocket? Is it some kind of animal? Is it an idea like being strong? I won't know what each of you are doing. I can't hear all of you, but in your own head, you just have to think of what that is. So if you've got that, raise your hand. You have a great idea of what your superhero is about. Raise your hand so I can see that we're ready. Okay. So it looks like we got about half of the people have an idea. If you don't have a great idea yet, you can pick an existing hero, or you can use one of my dumb ideas from before, like Rocket Man or Bubblegum Girl, or, oh, what's a good one? Ocean Guy. I don't know. They're all good. But whatever you like. Sometimes people, maybe you have a favorite animal. Do you have a turtle? Do you have a bunny? Do you have a dog? That's where Dogman came from. How many of you guys read Dogman? I'm sure that's how Dave Pelkey thought of that. Yep. So whatever you like, if you've got your own idea, we'll move on. If you don't, just use one of the ones that we threw out there.
Looks like we have a question from Kira Higa's screen. Oh, no question. Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, cool.
Oh. Julie Isaki? Somebody's raising their hand.
Is that for the question or because they have their thing?
I don't know. Do you have a question?
Yes. I was just wondering if you could just add something from a movie to a movie character. Because sometimes I just like to do it with Spider-Man and Spider-Girls.
Yep, you can do that. And the comic book companies love doing that. So first there was Batman, then there was Batgirl, Batwoman. Batman has about 50 friends that help him out now that have been created over time. So absolutely, they do it all the time. There's 2 Spider-Men right now. There's Miles Morales and there's Peter Parker, right? Plus another 50 different versions of Spider-Man. So it's totally okay to take something that already exists and do the girl version of it, or the old man version of it, or whatever you want. It's all good.
Excuse me.
Nixon, you have a question? Oh, no. Okay.
Okay. The next most important thing you need to create a superhero, beside the name, is superheroes, you'll notice, often have a symbol right there on their chest or maybe on their face, somewhere where you can really see it, so we know who they are when they come out of to fight crime. So whatever you came up with before, you need to come up with a chest symbol or some kind of little picture that represents them. So for example, if I needed a weather or a lightning bolt superhero, maybe his symbol that's on his chest is a big lightning bolt, or maybe I have a very scary super villain and his idea is skulls. So then I need a skull symbol for Skull Girl or whoever this is going to be. Okay. Or what else? How about Rainbow Boy? We have a big rainbow here. Some really simple. It's important that it's simple. If it's very complicated and takes you a long time to draw, then you're doing it wrong. You should make it very, very simple, easy to draw, easy to see from far, far away, so everyone knows who your superhero is. So if you had an idea before, come up with a little picture, or if you can't think of the picture, sometimes just the first letter is okay. Like if it's Fire Dude, then maybe a big F is okay. You can't think of a picture. Okay? Raise your hand if you guys have a good symbol for your character. And remember, a little picture or just the first letter is fine too. All right. We're going to move on. That's cool. Part 3. The next thing you need to figure out is, probably by now you've already got your name. You need to decide, of course, what Is it a boy, girl, man, woman? And just some quick tips about how to draw that. Like, what is the difference in drawing a boy superhero versus a girl superhero? If you're drawing a big, tough Superman type character, the difference is usually that the chest is much wider up top. Little legs down below, big chest on top. Think about Mr. Incredible, you know? Really, really wide shoulders, really wide here to here, and really thin here to here. See the difference? Okay. And the wider the better. Like if you really want to exaggerate it, you know, maybe his chest is really out here. The wider you go, the tougher he looks. Isn't that weird? That's all you have to do. Just make that top part wider, and it just makes the muscles look way bigger. All right. Now, if you're drawing a woman superhero, usually what happens is they call it an hourglass shape. So you're talking about it's wider here on the shoulders and wider here on the hips, thinner on the waist. So think Elastigirl in the Incredibles movie. All right. Legs, head, arms. So that's really the main thing you have to think of in terms of the overall shape. If you're doing like an older male hero, you're going to want those shoulders wide, waist small. If you're doing an older female superhero, it's wider shoulders, wider hips, but tight waist. If you're drawing a super boy or super girl type character, it matters less. Children can be represented pretty much straight up and down. It's just fine. It'll look like a child. But the more that shoulders gets wide, the less it'll look like a child. So you want to make sure that if you're drawing a young superhero, that this doesn't get too wide. That's the part that really makes it look older. Like there's a lot of muscles up there. How many young kids have you seen with huge bodybuilder muscles? Anybody? Yeah, you? I haven't seen too many. So usually you want to keep it pretty thin if you're drawing a child. Another thing too that helps something look more like a man, woman, or versus a child is the size of the head. So if I make my head really big compared to my body, it'll look more like a child. So if you have chosen to do a girl or boy superhero, you'll probably want to make the head a little bit larger compared to the body than if you're doing a grown-up. If you do the smaller head, automatically it'll look more grown up. Isn't that weird? See how it's almost like a magic trick. It just immediately shows age. It also is true that if I'm doing that really big muscular superhero, if I draw a little tiny head on it, it makes those shoulders look even bigger. It looks silly, but boy, does he look strong, right? All right. Okay, so putting all these... Go ahead.
Animal superhero.
Tips for an animal superhero? Yeah, so a lot of animal superheroes in comics still have, you know, kind of human bodies. You know what I mean? Like the Lizard, for example, in Marvel Comics, it's still the same rules. It's still a man superhero. And the only difference is that they've made the head into a lizard head and they added a tail. So I know these are like my best drawings ever. Do you guys like them? The rules still kind of apply unless you're really trying to draw a, you know, like it's actually a dog and it just has a cape on it or something like that. That's probably a different class. To get into animal anatomy is a little bit trickier. So we'll probably skip that for now. But if you guys feel like you know how to draw a dog on your own, go for it. Don't want to stop you there. Okay, so here's that basic figure again. I have just a general man. And then you remember what is your symbol? You're going to put that right in the middle on the chest. I'm going to make this guy, what's a funny idea? All right, this will be Captain W, I guess. I don't know. I can't think of anything better right now. So whatever you came up with before, throw that right on the chest. And that's automatically just screams superhero. Nothing will look more like a superhero than putting a symbol right on the chest.
Don't forget the mask.
Oh, well, I'm getting to that. Okay, now, if you've gotten that far, if you guys have created, the body and you've decided on how the shoulders should be, how big the head should be, all that kind of stuff, it looks like we might have a question. Do we want to pause for a question before we get into the next part? It's probably a good time to take any questions if anyone's struggling.
Yes. It's under Julie. Is Wani, do you want to unmute her? Oh.
Seem to unmute them. I can only mute.
Okay. Can you unmute yourself? Julie Esaki?
Okay, now you can ask.
Does there have to be a symbol on the chest? Because sometimes when I read comic books, I notice that some of them don't really have a symbol on the chest.
Well, you don't have to do anything at all. These are rules, but rules are made to be broken. So if every character has a symbol on their chest, the character that comes along that doesn't have a symbol on their chest might stand out more. That could be cool. So you definitely don't have to do anything. Sometimes it's good not to. Like Wolverine, for example, has never had a symbol on his chest. You just know him from his colors. That's sort of the last step, is picking colors, but we'll get to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
I think Alexa Ray,
Alexa Ray.
Alexa Ray, do you have a question?
What happens if you're done drawing your superhero?
You're completely done?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Well, you can draw a different one. You can
Okay.
watch to see what other people, that's a good idea. My daughter says you should draw a sidekick for it. So imagine, Batman has Robin. So it's a character that doesn't exactly look like him, but kind of feels like he'd be part of the same group.
I'll draw an animal then.
That sounds great. Yeah, a lot of people don't know, but over the years, Superman has had so many different animal pets. He has a dog, he has a cat, he has a horse, he has a monkey. Over time, people have drawn all kinds of crazy ideas and added to the story. Crypto the super dog, and the horse is like, oh man, Streaky. I think it's Streaky the horse or something. Old comics are crazy. If you go back and read old comics, they are very funny.
But I thought he can fly.
All of them can fly. All of Superman's pets have the same powers that he do. So imagine a cow who can fly and shoot lasers out of its eyes. Everything that Superman can do. Kind of awesome. So yes, if you were really fast and you already did your basic superhero, go ahead and draw their entire family of friends. Or you can do a villain. Why not have the villain as well? Because there's really no story unless there's someone opposing what the superhero wants. Okay, so I wanted to get into
Questions.
Hmm?
Hold on. Come on, Valea. Have questions.
Okay, go for it.
How do you draw Spider-Man's body?
Good question. Your background is awesome, by the way. Okay, so Spider-Man is a grown-up male superhero. So kind of like we were talking about before, the shoulders have to be wider, or it won't look like a man, You already know how to draw the head, so I'll put those little eyes in there. Spider-Man's costume is really complicated. It took me a good solid day to learn how to do it, and it just takes practice. But here's the quick highlights of his costume. He has sort of a red area with webs, and he has a blue or black area that is just dark. And the way it works is it's sort of a triangle down to his belt, and then the bottom of the belt is pointy, and then he kind of just has gloves. A lot of superheroes have gloves and boots, and Spider-Man is no exception. So, of course, there's a chest symbol. He has a little spider. And then I'm going to shade in all the stuff that's meant to be dark. This part on Spider-Man is blue or black, depending on who's drawing him. Pants are all dark. Boots and gloves are light. So I don't have all my colors here, but all the stuff that looks white here would be red, and all the stuff that's red would be blue or black. And then all the stuff that that is, you know, the light colored part has the web pattern in it. And it's tricky because you know, the webs all kind of point toward his face, and when you zoom in on it, when you see it up close, all the little bendy bits point up toward his head. So take some practice, and he's one of the hardest suits to draw in comics, I think, but that's how it looks. What's our next question?
Nicola, did you have a question? Or not anymore? No. Looks
Nope.
like it's drawing.
I think there's an Emmy or an MET that had a question. Oh.
How do you draw the girl's eyes?
Eyes. Oh, yes. That's a great question. Eyes are its own thing. Actually, every body part has its own special way of doing it, but I'll teach you something. All right, let's see. If we have a head, here's our head, right? Here's a trick that every professional artist I know uses. This is a little bit advanced, but we'll get into it since we're waiting for people to finish up anyway. If you have a head, when you see it front on, the way to figure out where the eyes even go is first you draw a line right through the center, this way, all right? Right in the middle. And then also another line through the middle the other way, okay? These are just guidelines, and they're gonna be erased in the final, but they help you figure out where the eyes go. So I'm gonna put my own head here. Do you see how on my head, my eyes are right in the middle of my head, just like where that line is? So on this line right here, that's where the eyes go. All right. Then, how do you figure out where the nose and the mouth go? Well, it turns out that if you divide this space into thirds over here, the nose is here and the mouth is here. So I'm doing it very sloppy because I'm doing it backwards and upside down, but that's how you figure out where the things go on the face. Now, when you're first starting out drawing, you're like, wait, are you sure? It sure seems like there's a lot of space up here, right? Like I thought those eyes would be higher. No, actually it's right in the middle. Very surprising, right? Turns out once you add in the hairline and everything else, then it starts to look real. Okay, so now that's how you figure out where they go. Now, how do you even draw an eye? Well, it's style is one thing. Like if you want to, your eye could just be, it could be a circle with a dot in the middle. Like that works great. I get it. That's an eye, right? Like that's how eyes look if you're drawing Garfield comics or something. Or sometimes it's even less. Sometimes just a dot, will be enough. Like I can tell that's an eye. So if you want to draw dots, that's fine. If you want to draw a circle with a dot, that's fine. If you want to draw this sort of almond shape and put the iris inside, that's fine. You can get more and more and more detailed, and it's really up to you how detailed you want to look. If you get more detailed, you'll notice that in the middle of this eye, there's always a big dark spot, and there's all these little fibers that go in toward it. On a real eye. You'll also notice that in the corner of each of your eyes, there's a little tear duct, so it kind of bumps out in one corner. You have your eyelids, if you want to get more detailed. You got eyelashes. Right, and then there are fewer on the bottom here, but tend to look like that. So you can get more and more and more complicated, but this is okay, and this is okay, and this is okay too. It's just how you want to do it. All right. Oh, and my favorite part, this is my absolute favorite thing to do in every single picture. In painting class, they'll tell you that you can't use solid white anywhere except for one place, which is the shine on your eye, just that one dot right there. So to make something look really shiny and realistic, you put one little white dot. See, instantly looks much more real, right? Look how shiny that looks. That's true for anything that's shiny, just putting a little white dot on the shiniest part. If you look at your own eye and camera right now, I bet you'll see that one little white dot, right? In the light, I see it. So that's another detail you can use to make your eyes look more realistic. Cool? All right. Any more questions, or should we do more detail on the figures? No? Okay, so a couple more points about the figure. I'm going to erase all this stuff now. When we stopped talking about it, we had a body and we had a chest symbol. But what about everything else? Like, what else can you do? You know, we did talk about some details on Spider-Man, of course, but I guess you have to think about accessories, right? Like, what else is on this? Is he or she wearing boots, gloves, a cape, a mask, a helmet? Does he have a shield or some kind of fancy weapon? Or this is where you have to start thinking about that kind of stuff. So if I'm doing Shellman over here, maybe he's an underwater guy, so I'm going to give him like swim trunks, right? That's super cool. And I'm going to rip off Aquaman.
Aquaman?
Oh, you already figured it out. Yeah, I'm kind of ripping off Aquaman right now. But Aquaman is cool because he's got, you know, he's got these sort of evil looking spikes on the side, so he looks like he could fight. And on his shirt, he's got these little plates that kind of look like scales. So that's the kind of thinking you do when you're putting in the details. Also, if it makes sense for your character to have something they carry with them all the time, that can really help them look special. So Dogman doesn't need an accessory, you know, he's got a hat, he's got the blue color. We can all tell that he's a police officer of some sort, right? But Captain America, if he didn't have his shield, I mean, it wouldn't look so cool, right? That's what's really cool about Captain America, is he's got this amazing shield, and you can tell who he is right away just because of that. All right, and then if you've got your accessories, your symbols, if you've thought through all the clothes and details like that, the only thing else to think about is color. And so what's really interesting about superheroes is they usually have 2 or 3 colors, and just seeing the colors alone is usually enough to know who that superhero is from a distance. So think of all the superheroes you've ever heard of. Spiderman, right? Blue and red. If you just put the colors blue and red next to each other, you're going to probably think of Spider-Man. Or Superman.
America is blue, white, and red.
Red, white, and blue, like America, right? Of course, it works. Or Wolverine is yellow and blue, right? All you need to know is those colors, and you can immediately think of that character. Hulk is green and purple. So
My background.
in your background. So what you don't want to do is use 16 colors all at once, unless you're trying to do like Rainbow Boy or something like that. Less is more is what they say. So you want to pick 2 or 3, and you know, like the shirt is one color and the pants are a different color, or the gloves are one color and the mask is a different color. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to have too much detail or you can't really see what it is. Or if your concept, you know, your idea for your character was strong enough, that might just sort of decide all the colors for you. So if you have Cheetah Girl, for example, you don't even have to think about the color. She should have cheetah spots, right? She should have orange and white and yellow colors. So yeah, I don't have even colored pens to show you, but that's how you think about colors when you get around to putting them on your character. All right. that is pretty much the gist of it. You think about the body type, you think about the idea, you think about the chest symbol, you think about the accessories, and you think about the color. So anybody have any questions? Is there anything I missed at all? Any burning questions about how to complete your superhero? I can't see the whole group, so I'm going to let the hosts let me know if anyone has a question.
I don't see any questions so far, but oh, I do see somebody has a question here. Elise.
How do you do the shoes?
Good question. Shoes are tough. Let's look at it for a second. Okay, so when you're drawing, feet and hands are tricky, but one thing I do all the time to cheat when I'm drawing hands is I have a mirror right by my desk. So if I need to draw a fist, I'll just go like this. Do I need a fist from the side? Boom. Do I need a hand going like that, shooting energy? Boom. You know, like you happen to have these things right on you, right next to you while you draw. Look at a mirror. It's very helpful. It's harder to do with your feet. You can't really hold your foot up, you know. So best way I've learned to draw feet, which I'm talking about because we have to think about the feet before we can think about the shoes, is kind of like drawing sort of a wedge shape. So almost think of, oop, I got that dead black pen again. One moment. All right. So a foot is sort of like this sort of ramp shape. Like if you really had to boil it down, it's kind of that shape. Yes, it kind of goes out on the back as well. So imagine kind of two ramps. And then if you had to think of the shape of the leg, that's kind of a cylinder. So actually, this sort of shape language right here is a really good way, and it's kind of in the light, sorry. A really good way of drawing in general is just think about what are the basic shapes that you're even trying to draw. So, you know, if I'm thinking about a head is basically like a round ball, right? If you can think of a ball, you're halfway there to drawing the head. Or a leg or an arm is a cylinder, you know, these simple shapes. This is sort of a ramp. So just understanding those simple shapes, you get that down first, and then you can add the details later. That looks like a leg, right? You believe that's a leg, don't you? All right. So if that's my basic leg and foot, how do I make that into a shoe? Well, the first thing is if I look at my shoe, and I'm sure you all have a shoe handy that you can look at, on the bottom, the shape is something like this. Okay. So you'll notice that the heel part is thinner and the front part gets wider. And then these are where your toes are, right? So the adjustment I have to make from this wedge right here is, yeah, it's kind of thin here, but it has to bulge out here in the front, right? Okay. Then I like to draw that. Almost all shoes have it. There's sort of this bottom layer. So I just kind of draw a line around the side, you know, that's sort of the, I don't even know what it's called. I'm not a shoe expert, but you know what I'm talking about, that thin layer on the bottom. Then I guess you have to kind of decide what sort of shoe you're talking about. Are we talking about an army boot? Are we talking about a flip-flop? Are we talking about, why don't you tell me, what kind of shoe should we draw? Oh, you're muted. Sorry, I forgot. I'll wait for you. I want to know.
High heels.
High heels. Oh, okay, you're making it hard on me. Okay, watch this. So high heels are weird because instead of the foot being flat on the ground, the foot is basically standing on the toes. So this wedge is going to have to be more like this. You know?
I know how to make high heels.
Yep. So now the foot is in here. The same rule applies. But if this is the ground, then I have to add in that extra piece on the back. So it might be a wedge, or it might be like a stiletto, whatever it is. This is this part right here is not your foot. This is where your foot is. This is very advanced, kids. So don't feel like you need to be able to do this. I'm just kind of giving you a preview of what it would be like were you to study this a little further. Okay, and then my favorite part is the little details. Like what really makes it look like leather or something is you put, you learn where these little folds go that make it look realistic. There's always this little fold right above the toes, and there's always, any joint is going to have folds. So right here at the ankle is going to have a few folds. Just a couple of lines. Look, I mean, just so little effort and it looks, realistic. So yeah, that's a high heel. If we were doing a tennis shoe, you would imagine, there's sort of the cutout area, and then there's sort of a back, forth, lace thing that happens. You can draw your little loops here. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. That's what I think about when I'm drawing a foot. Cool. Yeah, excellent. 5 stars. Who else has got a question for me?
Anybody else have questions?
Now's your chance. Anything at all.
Like
If
Julie.
not, Eva, I think has a question, and Julie.
And then my daughter has a question. But we'll let the other person go first.
Eva, did you have a question? Is that Eva?
Actually, I have a question.
Okay.
Sure.
So, what comic book projects are you working on currently?
Right now?
Yeah.
I'm having like the most X-Men month ever. I'm on my 4th or 5th X-Men cover in a row. And they're sold sort of at these particular comic stores around the country will hire you to draw. It's a real Marvel cover. It's not just for them. You have to use your regular Marvel editor. But I'm just doing a bunch of these sort of special exclusive X-Men covers this month. I also have a new round of Hasbro toy illustrations coming up at the end of the month. So one of my busiest months ever, fortunately.
Oh, awesome. That's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Your daughter had a question.
Oh, okay. Alyssa, go ask her. Are you on the camera? Can I see you? Okay, come here. Come here. Come here so everyone can hear it. They need to hear the question too.
How do you do the
Okay.
shadows?
Everyone, this is Alyssa. Ask the question.
How do you do the shadows?
How do I do shadows? This is a great question. Good idea. I will show you guys how to think about shadows.
I'm just gonna stand
Okay, so this goes back to those simple shapes, right? Let's do a different simple shape for fun. Here's a head. Here's a little cylinder for a neck. And here's a chest. Okay, we can believe it's close enough, right? It's not my most beautiful piece of art ever, but you get the idea. I'll actually make this a simpler shape so you can understand. Let's just make this another big cylinder. All right, and let's make this a cylinder too, just so you can understand. Okay, you can believe that's a head, right, on a neck, on a body. All right, so the first thing you do when you're thinking about shadows is you have to pick which way the light is coming from. So most of the time, that's going to be right up above because of the sun, of course, right? Imagine this is my little cartoon light. Do you like it? So imagine the light is coming straight down. Let me put a little nose in here. And so if the light is coming from that way, you have to kind of imagine, well, where is the shadow going to be? And we know this is just something you see every single day in, all the time. And if you just think about it for a second, you can understand. So of course, if the light is up here coming down, it's going to cast a shadow where? Above or below my nose? Where's the shadow going to be? Below, of course, right? If the light's going this way, it's going to cast a shadow underneath. So you do that by putting a little darkness underneath, right? And likewise, everything that can cast a shadow will. So if this shape is above this shape, then that means it's going to cast a shadow down here, right? When you start thinking about the shapes of the face, if you get more complicated, there's this sort of shelf that's formed here, and underneath it tucks in. So you can imagine that it's going to be shadow under here. All right. Or the chest muscles, for example, are another little shelf that will cast a shadow. All right. Now, but that depends on the light being that way. What if the light is over here? All right. So now, if this is a can of soup cylinder, this side is going to be light, and this side's going to be dark, right? And this side's going to be dark, and this side's going to be dark. Does that make sense? You just kind of have to think, where is the light and what is going to be dark? And how you render it is style. So this, putting this darkness in here could be lines, you know, could be a bunch of little lines like this, or it could be paint, or it could be crayon, or however you're going to color that in. Whatever you put a mark on, that part's the shadow part. Oh yeah, and also it's going to cast a shadow too on the ground. You can imagine that if the light's going this way, it's going to cast a shadow this way. Does that make sense? So you're basically just, you pick where the light is and then put shadows on the opposite side. That's as simple as I can make it.
We have a person who raised their hand, Ellie Morinaka. Ellie.
Oh, how do I think of like a superpower?
I don't know. I guess it depends on what kind of story you want to tell, or maybe just something inspires you someday. Maybe there's an animal you like, or you know, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. Is there just a cool idea, or I don't know, it just sort of pops into your head. I often like to just kind of pick things I already love and then like combine them and make something new out of it. So for example, like, do you like Pokemon or something? You know, maybe most people do. Maybe you, to get inspiration for your own character, you think about Pokemon, like a bunch of little cute animals and their trainers or something. Well, maybe then you change it a little bit. So maybe they're not little, maybe they're not animals, maybe they're, you know, like you just sort of change something you like a little bit, and now it's your idea. That helps. I don't know, that's what I do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I actually think that segues into my next idea, because we have about 6 minutes left. I wanted to do a pop challenge on David to see if he's willing to take on the pop challenge.
Okay.
You basically have probably about 2 to 3 minutes. And so it's 2021. The world is confronted with this huge virus. We won't say the name of it, but somehow through it all, this superhero comes in, conquers the virus, and puts everybody back to normalcy and world peace. And and the virus is gone. And so if you could come up with a superhero that would do that, it would be great for you to illustrate that and sort of describe your thoughts. Maybe
Okay.
about 2 minutes.
I get 2 minutes, a big 2 minutes.
3 minutes, 3 minutes.
How generous. Okay. Well, you know, throughout this whole thing, I've been thinking about how what's ultimately going to pull us out of this is science, right? Science to me feels like the real hero. So if you were to embody that in a single person, I almost would want to make like a superhero scientist, if that makes sense. You know, going back to those other questions, like what is the inspiration for something? Well, this is a perfect example. You know, I need a character who's going to rise to the challenge of this moment. So how do I make a superhero scientist? You know, how do you know what makes the character super heroic and not just like a regular scientist? You know, a regular scientist is just going to be wearing a white lab coat, and you know, that's kind of all you got, right? So what can I do to make something super heroic out of that? Well, first of all, I'm going to go back to my rule about a little wider chest. That looks tough and strong. We want that. So just getting that body type in there. And this worked just as well with a girl, boy, man, or woman. I'm just going to go with a guy right now. Okay, now I think when you're thinking of these characters, you want to put in things that you are going to find cool to draw. I think, some kind of cool glasses would be really, really neat, like goggles. So what about these big Spider-Man like goggles here? Okay. Maybe he's got a little communicator thing. That feels sciencey. All right. And then I'm thinking about Albert Einstein and that wild haircut, Let's give him like a cool anime haircut. That's awesome, right? I want to draw that. That'd be fun. Already, I like this guy. That's super fun to draw. Okay, then now he needs like a cool lab coat, but maybe it's pinned in so that it doesn't fly around everywhere while he's working, or fighting crime, whatever it is. So I'm gonna have that coat fold in front like that. Folds. And let's do a cool collar. Collars are cool. Kids like collars, right? Okay. All right, and then I bet he needs like a bunch of gear, right? So let's give him like a utility pouch, and maybe he's got like a symbol over here. Maybe it's a test tube, right? We talked about bringing it all together, right, kids? We gotta get that symbol in there like we talked about so much. Okay, he's got all these gear. Do I know what's in there? Nope, don't know what's in there. Neither does Batman. But superheroes love their pouches because it could be anything that they need to solve whatever problem.
Like Ned.
Okay, and then we're almost done, but let's see. How about he gets this is my STEM contribution here. He's got like a big wrench there. Okay. All right, there, done. Okay, that's my super scientist who will save the world.
Wow, amazing. Everybody's clapping. So would you name him super scientist, or what would you name him?
Oh boy, you usually want to have like something that is quicker and easier to say. So I could probably think about it a little bit harder and make it as short as I could, and as punchy as I can think of.
Okay, we have room for one more question. I see Alexa ready to ask a question. Alexa?
You know how like you're thinking of a name? Maybe you should think of like a doctor name that kind of matches him with science.
Dr. something. Yeah, I like that. Dr. Science. There.
Like Doctor Strange or something.
Well, right. Exactly. Dr. Strange is a good one. But Dr. something, I like that. That's short and sweet. Just the doctor, like 2 letters. You've only spent 2 letters and you already communicated so much about what they're about. Great idea.
Wow, good job. One more question that I wanted to ask for all our young artists. What piece of advice do you give to them to continue to work on their talent as they move on? And what did you do to continue to work on your talent?
That really is the most important part about it. People ask me all the time on social media or at comic conventions, like, how do you make, those steps between, just being an amateur artist for fun and then getting a job. And I think what it comes down to is, it's like I said before, it's practice. I like to say, someone famous once said that if you spend 10,000 hours on anything at all, you can become an expert at it. And I didn't just wake up one day and know how to draw. I just liked drawing, and it was fun for me. And I would sit down and do it whenever I had free time. If you do it every day, like if you're practicing a musical instrument or something, you don't learn it unless you do it every day. So it kind of is up to you. Like if you have the patience to sit there with it, whatever it is, learning your instrument, learning a sport, learning to draw, it's about, building that muscle in your brain, for lack of a better word, practicing it and, making those incremental improvements every day until one day you just suddenly look back and you're like, oh, I know some stuff, like I know a bunch of things I didn't know before, and you just keep building on that. So that's really what it's all about. But like more specifically, people go, well, that's great. Okay, well, thanks a lot for that. But really, what do you do? Well, The most important thing, if you're trying to just be able to draw a character out of your head like this, you need to understand how the human body even works. So part of that is drawing what's in front of you, like we were talking before about drawing your own hand, or maybe you draw from a photo, or sometimes like in later in school they have things called life drawing classes where they have a real person stand there and you draw them. That's helpful, but also just as important is you need to understand how the body even works, like as a machine. Like what are all the parts? If you think about it, there's a bone in here and it doesn't move, right? Like I can't bend here, but I can bend here. So how the human body even works? Where are those muscles? Where are the bones? It almost takes like getting an anatomy book and going through it a couple of times to learn that. So anyway, I think that's a pretty good sketch of what it looks like if you go on and learn it. But it really comes down to your personal, do you want to do it?
Right, right. I think all the students here tonight have shown their personal passion for what you do in art. So thank you so much for sharing your skills and talent. Where can we find you if we want to keep following you?
Sure, thanks. I have a website at davidnakayama.com, and if anyone's on social media, I'm on all of them under my own name. So at David Nakayama on Instagram or Twitter or wherever else you go. But if you know my name, you can find me pretty easily everywhere.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you so much for doing this. Maybe we can do this again in the spring.
Sure.
Maybe in person, hopefully.
Nice.
But I just wanted to see if we could do one more picture with everybody, and that would be great. If you don't want to be in the picture again, you can turn off your video. Otherwise, everybody hold up your drawings and smile.
Mom, I didn't get one.
Hold on, you're unmuted. Sorry, it's a couple pages, guys. Give me a minute. All right, I think I got it.
Okay, can everybody just
Thank
raise
you.
your hands up and give a big round of applause for David, or a woot woot. Thank you so much, David. That was amazing. And we definitely want you to come back. And we'll probably do more pop challenges on you. Sorry for doing that to you.
That was fun. No, I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And so please continue, everybody, to pay attention to all the iconic emails out there. There is a mask and t-shirt pickup this weekend. If you can please pay attention to the email or sign up, that would be great. We don't want to keep you any longer because we know you're all excited to go back to class tomorrow, first thing in the morning. But thank you to you and all your parents for participating tonight. David, Trisha, and your family, you guys are amazing. Please support them and follow David as much as possible. And if you have any other questions, David, are you willing to take any individual email questions if we have some from the students after?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
I'm at dnakayama without the A. Oh, you can send that out, but sure.
I will send that out. Okay. Okay, and Moani, anything else that you wanted to just talk about?
Oh, thank you, everyone. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for coming.
Bye. That was my friend. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. My friend. Bye. Bye. Look what I did. Thank you.
Oh,
Why is this not working? Oh, yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Aloha.
Bye, Marvin.
Bye.
Bye, Matthew.
Oh, that's nice.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.